Hello world, it's Manas and this is the part 2 of the Python tutorial series. In this part, we will cover operators and if statements. Last time we discussed the different data types and this time we will understand the importance of the data types and how we can manipulate data. So let's get started by declaring two integers, a which is 10 and b which is let's say 3. Now if we need to add these two integers, we can declare another variable c which is equal to a plus b. And let's try printing C and see what the value is. So as you can see, the value is 13. Now if we need to subtract two integers, it's very simple. Just put the minus symbol and you get the answer. Now multiplication is done with the help of the asterisk symbol and division with the help of the slash. So these symbols, slash, asterisk, plus and minus, are nothing but operators which operate on the data. Now there's another symbol which is the percentage symbol, which gives you the remainder when this variable is divided by this variable. So when a is divided by b, the remainder is 1. So as you can see, the output is 1. Now let's understand some other operators. Let's compare the values of these two variables. So instead of saying c equals a mod b, let's say c equals a greater than b. And then let's print the value of c. Now as you can see, it prints out true. Why is this? This is because a is in fact greater than b, right? And if you want to see the type of c, what data type c is, you can simply use the type function and see that c is of the type boolean. Now there are several operators which compare the values of two integers. This is the greater than operator. There's also the lesser than operator, which will output false because a is not less than b, yeah. And then there are some others like equal equals. Now there's a difference between this equals and this equals. This checks if two values are equal, and this equals assigns the value on the right to the value on the left. So now is a equal to b? Is 10 equal to 3? Obviously not. So c will be false. Now if we print this again, you can see it's false. But if I make b equal to 10 as well, you can see that c becomes true. Now there's another operator, a not equals b, where you can see now the output is false because a does equal b since I changed the value of b to 10. Now there are some other operators like greater than or equal to, which we can verify by running this code. You can see that a is greater than or equal to, a is equal to b, right? So the output's true. But if I had only a greater than b, you will see that the output is false because a is not greater than b. Now there's another one, less than equal to, which checks if, you might have guessed it, is a less than b or if a is equal to b. Now when we run this, you see the output is true because a is equal to b. Now let's try to take an example where you're given the percentage of humidity and the percentage of cloudiness at a place, and the weatherman wants to know whether it will rain or not. He has also given you two conditions, that is, if the humidity percentage is greater than 0.5 and the factor of cloudiness is less than 0.8. So that might sound very confusing, but let's try to write some code for this. So let's say the humidity at a place given by the weatherman is 0.4 and the cloudiness is, let's say, 0.7. Now the two factors that the weatherman has given you, humidity and cloudiness, will determine whether it will rain or not. And he has also given you two conditions. Now what are these two conditions? If the humidity is greater than 0.5 and if the cloudiness is less than 0.8. These are the two conditions the weatherman has given you. And now you need to check if it will rain or not. Now, if it will rain or not, that reminds you of a boolean, right? True or false. So let's see. Let's say boolean A, which is equal to h greater than 0.5. And let's say you have another boolean B equal to c less than 0.8. Now you need to combine these two booleans. This needs to be true, the humidity needs to be greater than 0.5, and the cloudiness needs to be less than 0.8. So you need to combine these two boolean expressions, and that's where the two operators and or come in place. So you can say rain is equal to A and B. So what this AND operator does is, let me just run this code in fact, and then we'll understand. So if I run this, you will see that it outputs false. Now why is that? It combines these two. It combines A and B. Now what is A? Is A true or false? Is 0.4 greater than 0.5? Obviously not. So I'll just comment A is false. And is C less than 0.8? Yes, that's true. So I'll comment true. Now, what is false and true? It's obviously false, right? Because you need this and this to be true. So now let's change humidity to 0 0.6 because 0 0.6 is greater than 0 0.5. And then let's run this code. So as you can see, it outputs true. That means it is going to rain. Now this is the AND operator, and there might be a confusion. What if I have A also false and B also false? So let's do that. Let's make H 0.2 and C 0.9. So as you can see now, both of B and A are going to be false. And when you run this, it's going to give you false. So that means AND operator will give you a true only when both A and B are true. Now there's another operator called the OR operator. So let me first comment all of this. So let's say the weatherman also gave you a condition that if the humidity is equal to 0.5 or the cloudiness is greater than 0.4. And note the word that I've used, the word or. He said if either the humidity is equal to 0.5 or the cloudiness is greater than 0.6. So let's do the same thing. A equals H equals 0.5. Does H equal 0.5? And C equals, B equals C greater than 0.4. And now let's run this. Let's say, okay, not print. Let's make rain equal to A and B and run this. And as you can see, it outputs true because H is equal to 0.5 and B is also greater than 0.4. But now he has said or, right? So even if C is not greater than 0.4, let's say C is 0.1, it should still run, right? Because the weatherman has said that even if the humidity is equal to 0.5, then it will rain. Or if the cloudiness is equal to is greater than 0.4, right? So if I run this, and will give me a false because as I told you, it combines A and B when only A and B are true. Now, you might have guessed there's another operator called the OR operator, which checks if either A or B is true. Now, in this case, only A is true. So when we run this, you will see that it prints out true, which is exactly what the second condition of the weatherman was. Now, let's say H was 0.6. Now, 0.6 is not equal to 0.5, so A will be false. And let's make C as 0.9. Now 0.9 is greater than 0.4, so when we run this, you will see it still gives out true because you're combining A or B. You're checking if either A is true or B is true. Now in this case, A is false and B is true. Now OR operator works when either of the conditions are true or both of the conditions are true. So I can also make H equal to 0.5 and C equal to 0.9. They should still give us true because both these conditions are true. So inevitably, either of them are true. Now that we've learned how to combine Boolean expressions, let's try adding two strings, which may sound quite weird, but let's try. So let's say A is hello and B is there. So let's say we want to make a variable C equal to A plus B. Now if I print C, can you guess what the output would be? It's going to be hello there without a space. That's because we're just combining these two strings. C is nothing but plus there. Oops, small case. Yeah. So now if you want to add a space in between hello and there, we can put a plus, single quotes, space, plus B. Now this is called adding two strings. And when we run this, you can see that the output is hello there. Now let's try changing the values of a and b and see what the output is. So I'm going to make c equal to a plus b, and I'm going to change the value of a to be 10 and the value of b to be 20. But note, a and b are strings. So when I add them, you will not see a 30, but a 1020. I should have rather made this 20, so you would see the year 2020. Anyways, so now if we want to convert a string to an integer, how do we do that? Now that is called typecasting. So I can say a is equal to int of a. So what I get now is I get the integral value of a, which in this case is 20. And I can say b is nothing but the integral value of b. So now if I try adding c and I print c, you will see that the output is 40, because obviously 20 plus 20 is 40. Now let's say we have a equals 20.90, okay, and b equals 20. And let's say we don't do any of this typecast and we just print c, which is a plus b. You will see that it gives an error because you cannot add a float and a string. So what you can do in this case is you can say b is equal to the float of, sorry, the float of b, and then when you try adding this, you will see a 40.9. Great, so now we've built a sort of calculator, but there's a problem. We're always inputting the number over here, like 100 or 110, stuff like that. We're not able to actually input it through the keyboard when we run our program. So you might be wondering how we can do that. Well, the way to do that is with the help of the input function. So let me give an example. So let's say a is input, we're inputting some values, and this is the input prompt, which is, let's say, enter a number, and let's say we input another number, b, or yeah, b, which is equal to input, enter another number, and let's print out a plus b. Now as you can see, when I run this, it asks me to input a number. So let's say I input 123. Input another number, great, 90. Now when I add these two, oops, I see an error. It says 12390. Now, great, we've got the inputting part, but we've still not been able to add these numbers. So how can we do that, and what's the error? So let's try a little debugging. Let's try printing out the data type of A and the data type of B, and let's see what these types are. So you can see that the types of A and B are strings, and as we discussed, when you add strings, it literally adds them. It doesn't add the numbers, right? So how can we fix this? Well, we can typecast. So let's say A is int of A and B is int of B. And now when we run this program, you will see that A plus B is 213. So I've written a question over here now, and let's try solving it. So the question reads, print rain or not rain given the conditions h greater than 0.9 and c less than 0.5. So let's quickly write this out. H is equal to input, enter humidity, and c is equal to input, enter cloudiness. And now let's convert h to float and c to float as well. Okay, great. Now let's try and check if this condition is true or not. So let's declare rain, which is going to be equal to h greater than 0.9 and and c less than 0.5. Oops, c less than 0.5. Okay, great. So now you can see that rain is a boolean, right? And we need to print rain or not rain. So how can we do that? Well, we can do that with the help of an if statement. So if statements will always be written like this, and this, what you supply within these parentheses, is always a boolean value. So in our case, this is going to be rain. and you put a colon, and this is the indentation which we will talk about in the next part. And here you can print rain, because if rain is true, that means it's going to rain. And then there's an else, print not rain. Okay, great. So let's try running this. Let's say our humidity is 1, which is 100%, and cloudiness is 0.3. So you can see that it prints rain. And if we have humidity as, let's say, 0.3 and cloudiness as 0.3 as well, you can see that it says not rain. Now we'll discuss if statements and indentation in the next class. Thanks for watching and hope to see you there.